Hey there guys, this is Sam
and Justin
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to be talking about the David Cronenberg classic, The Fly.
Mm-hmm. Probably ranks as one of the best remakes of all time.
I mean, I put this up there with not quite as good as The Thing as far as like remakes go, but like this is a fantastic.
It's up there with the 70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Scarface. It's just a great remake.
It's a really good remake
because it's an amazing horror movie on its own.
Exactly.
Which is what most horror remakes are not, but this one is.
It really is. David Cronenberg really added his own flair to this movie. Whereas the original is fantastic with Vincent Price. It's a great movie, but he really adds enough to make it its own film.
Cronenberg just took the general idea of a scientist creating a teleportation device and he gets merged with a fly, and just completely did his own thing.
Yeah.
Because aside from that, this movie has no connection to the original.
That's the only thing that's connected to the original.
Yeah.
Oh, it's worked!
I mean, the original wasn't bad at all. It was great for what it did.
Yeah.
This is just its own fucked up, fun thing.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. One thing that always comes to mind with this movie are just the screwed up effects and just the
classic 80s style special effects.
Yeah.
Practical, all in camera. And this ranks up there with The Thing as some of the best 80s practical effects in any movie.
It's another movie that won an Oscar for Best Special Effects, and it deserves it. It deserves it. Sweaty Jeff Goldblum and all.
Yeah.
It's So, the plot of the movie follows Seth Brundle. He's this doctor who is working on a teleportation device that it's just what it sounds like. 2 pods, hop in one pod, come out the other. That's it. Okay, and the movie starts out with him at this big, like, fancy party, and he sees Gina Davis.
So Gina Davis is a reporter, but Seth doesn't want her to do a report on himself. He just wants to show it off to her. So at first, the machine only works on, like, items and just stuff, but not living organisms.
Yeah, any organic material that he puts into it, it just gets blobbed.
But after doing some experiments and getting everything set up, he finally makes it able to transport living creatures.
So he teleports a monkey, and he's starting to think, okay, I think I can hop into this thing.
Yeah.
And that's where things go wrong.
Because he does that.
He does that, but he doesn't realize that, of all things, a fly hops on in there with him, and when he's in the machine with the fly, it kind of splices the genetic material or whatever.
And instead of the original fly, where he kind of becomes part man, part fly, like he has the fly head and the fly arm, and the fly has the human head and the human arm, instead of that, Seth is slowly turning into a fly.
Yeah, it's not an instantaneous thing. The whole movie is this transformation of him, you know, at first still looking like Jeff Goldblum, but he's a lot stronger, and he's just slowly changing into this monster.
Look at me. Does this look sick? Does this look like a sick man to you?
No! Stop it!
Both physically and mentally, because he's also just completely going mad. He starts to really want Gina Davis to go into this machine as well, because he's like, I want you to be like me.
You're jealous! I've become free. I've been released, and you can't stand it.
So what makes this movie so great is a combination of just like the disturbing transformation that Jeff Goldblum's character goes through during the whole thing, and it's just shown in such gruesome detail.
From his teeth falling out, like his ear falling off.
Yeah.
It just gets really disgusting, especially towards the last half, where he starts to eat like a fly.
Yeah, where you don't digest things in your stomach, you vomit on them to break them down in front of you and then slurp them up. Because he's Brundlefly.
Yes. And it's not just the effects that makes it great, it's the performances.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite Jeff Goldblum movie, and my favorite performance of his.
Same here.
I think he's phenomenal in this movie. He's just a funny, likable, kind of quirky guy at first, basically Jeff Goldblum in the beginning.
I've come here to say one magic word to you.
Yeah?
Cheeseburger.
But then you just see this like slow transition from becoming this like nice, silly guy to like this complete jerk.
You're a fucking drag, you know that?
To just turning into this creature. And it's just so well done and so brilliantly acted.
fantastic.
The movie wouldn't have been the same without him if it had a different actor in the parts.
No,
it's
not
that good
at
of a
all.
performance.
He was really perfect for the role, and Gina Davis is also really great as this reporter who's kind of his love interest.
Yeah.
And is worried about him and wants him to get better, but is also so frightened of him and afraid to even go to his apartment to even do much to help.
Yeah. And then the other main character in the movie is Gina Davis's boss. And that guy is just a douche.
Yeah, he's just this douchebag.
But surprisingly enough, like, the movie is well written to where as the movie progresses, he kind of becomes, like, likable. And he actually makes sense. You actually kind of, like, root for him to help out Gina Davis and everything. At first, he's a complete dick.
I am finally onto something that's big, huge.
Yeah? What? His cock?
Crude, Stathis. Very crude.
Too perfect to believe.
Like, but as it progresses, he gets better. To the point where, like, if you had told me at the start of the movie, like, what happens to him at the end, I'd be like, yeah, good for him. That's great that he gets that. He deserved that. But then as the movie progresses, I'd be like, no, I don't want that to happen to him. That sucks.
Yeah. Which is cool because it's not just some two-dimensional character. He actually has some depth to him.
Yeah. One thing that's great about this movie is the musical score.
Yes.
It's just, like, grand, like, epic score that doesn't feel like something that would be in a horror movie.
It's not your standard, like, 80s horror flick
Yeah.
score. It's really epic. And, I don't know, it fits really well with the tone of the movie.
Because the tone of this movie isn't as much of horror and, like, trying to scare you, it is more of a tragedy. And that definitely comes into play even in the final scene of the movie.
Yes.
Which I don't want to exactly say what happens in it, but the final scene of the movie is pretty sad.
It
actually.
really is. It's a depressing ending.
Yeah.
And
the way it just ends, there's no real epilogue, it just kind of just ends, and you're sitting there just like, oh shit.
that just happened.
Yeah.
And
It's fucked up, but it's great.
it really leaves you off feeling different than most horror movies would.
Yeah.
So it's a really unique experience.
It's not just a simple, like, gross out horror movie, though it has a lot of gross out elements, which is David Cronenberg's
Exactly.
style.
And this is definitely a Cronenberg movie through and through.
Oh, yeah.
But like a lot of his other movies, it has a lot more depth than just being disgusting.
Yeah. The final transformation at the end, where he basically transforms into being a fly, is some of the best effects I've seen.
It's nasty.
Yes.
it's believable because it's all 100% practical effects. It's right there, and it's fucking gross, man. It's one of those movies that when you bring up The Fly to a lot of people who saw it back in the day, they'll go, "Oh, that movie's gross."
Yeah. Because it really is.
Yeah.
But it has a lot more elements going for it than just being a gross out horror movie.
More. It's definitely one worth watching.
So, out of 10?
Out of 10, I mean, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I'd honestly give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it a 9 as well. 9 out of 10.
So yeah, that's The Fly. One of David Cronenberg's best movies.
Jeff Goldblum's best movie.
Probably his best movie.
One of the best remakes.
It's just really, really good. And if you haven't seen it, just go watch it.
Oh
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
it's incredible.
It's one of the staples of the 80s horror genre.
Oh yeah. Up there with The Thing as one of the best.
Absolutely.
I don't want to. I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
So next time we're going to be reviewing another groundbreaking horror film, The Exorcist. And so until then, we'll see you guys later.
Because I actually think this movie's been pretty damn great. So... Ah! So... I'm going to make a decision.
It's the tray from evil to describe you!